I am Kijana Nderi. I am currently 27 years of age, and I am a Gen Z by the generation in which I was born. I studied at Nderi Primary School, but I had previously studied at Nderi Primary School in Kieni. I also studied in Nderi Primary School. I then proceeded to Nderi High School. Of course, transitionally, I was passing excellently. I was then admitted to the University of Nairobi to study political science. I then decided to add another degree at the Mount Kenya University, Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration and Governance. I am also a student of law, continuing. I have been a person who had the ambition and the desire to change this country. One of my dreams, which I developed after quite a spiritual encounter when I was in high school, was a situation or where I interacted with God. And from that time, I got the instruction or rather guidance that I was supposed to fight for the freedom and justice of this country, that I was supposed to restore this country to God, because we understand that everything we see, the injustice we see, is as a result of ungodliness that is in this country. And so at that point, I decided that I wanted to take back Kenya from the hands of ungodly people and take it back to the ways of God. And that is when I vied for Senate at the age of 19, unsuccessfully, through the New Democrats Party, which was a neutral party. I then vied for the Member of Parliament in 2022.
Andũ a Nyeri nĩ inyuaya maumĩra ũguo kuona president wanyu ũrĩa ũgoka Kalonzo Musyoka nĩ mũmwendete ũyũ warũgamire na Kibaki nĩ mũririkanaga. Wa mbere ndĩmwĩre nĩ thengiũi mũno tondũ rĩrĩa ndokire haha ngĩrũgama 2022 na ngĩrũgama na kĩama gĩa Kalonzo Musyoka nĩ mwaheire kura ona ngoro itiaiganire.
Along those 5 years, 2017 to 2022, I was involved in heavy advocacy for the plight of the young people and for justice in this country. I was a fierce activist, and I still am, where I have fought for different issues in this country. I am a person who has presented different memoranda and petitions to the government. I have led young people in protests where the constitution has been violated, where the young people have not been included in decision making, and that has always been my dream, to ensure that we have a country where young people's voices are heard, and I am happy that that is finally happening. At the same time, I am at a point where I believe in decentralization of power, and that is the reason why I vied for Senate, because I believed that if we were going to protect devolution, even as much as the journey to free Kenya from the chains of the West and the chains of corruption was going to be a long journey, if we could first protect our counties where money is closer to the people, then we were going to start our journey to freeing Kenya. And that is why I vied for Senate, and that is why part of my ambitions moving forward to 2027 is that I want to be the senator for Nyeri County in the upcoming elections, so that we can empower the Senate to protect devolution. So we are at a point where in Kenya is in a state of corruption, and we have a country that politicians do not have ideals. Right now, the people who are expected to be in opposition are in government, and the opposition and the part of government is now heading to opposition. I want to say, first of all, I was against the public finance bill, and I joined the country, the Gen Zs, and now we are not saying Gen Zs to represent one generation. We are speaking of Generation Zote, Gen Zote, and I joined them in the fight against the finance bill that was there, the finance bill of 2024, and we won against the state. We are at a point where the Kenyan politicians have tried to manipulate us. We are at a point where we have the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And many people have been asking, on which side am I? I want to say that I am on the side of the people. I am not on the side of Rigathi Gachagua or on the side of the state, but I do not support the unconstitutional way in which Gachagua is being dismissed. I believe in protecting the constitution, and if at all we must kick Gachagua out, let us do so in a manner that follows the tenets of the constitution, the tenets of natural justice, where everyone is given a chance to be heard. But at the end, we must learn to look at the future of this country beyond Rigathi Gachagua, beyond William Ruto, beyond Raila Odinga, and look at the future of this country beyond their interests. Because when I say I'm on the side of Gachagua or Ruto, I will be protecting and fighting for their interests. I do not believe in fighting for their interests. I believe in fighting for the interest of the Constitution of Kenya and the people of Kenya. And that means that once we go to the next election, if we want to save Kenya, we must look beyond them. We must establish a leadership that is going to be beyond them. We have seen the ways in which the state is buying out people who are speaking. We are condemning in the strongest words possible the killings of the people who have been fighting for justice in this Kenya. We are just finding people who have been killed left, right, and center. And we want to ask the state, stop killing our people. I do not support the killing of activists. I do not support the killing of people who are speaking about justice, because that is an attempt to gag us, to gag the people so that they do not speak out. And when you see that happening, then that means that there is a plan, kuna njama, to extend a dictatorship form of government, and we understand that Kenya is a democracy, to violate the constitution, to mutilate the constitution. And so I believe that as Kenyans, we must stop being blinded, because if you look at the impeachment process, we have seen the deals of Adani and Ketrako being signed. We have seen very corrupt deals of SHIF being signed, where we have a system of worth billions that is being bought by the country of Kenya, when we have a stable NHIF which can undergo reforms. So we must make sure that we are not blinded by the machinations of the state, which is to keep us off focus, to deviate us from the actual corruption that is happening in Kenya. And so I am a person who does not believe that we should be deviated to focus on impeachment in this country, to focus on the fights between rich people, the fights between top and elite politicians, because those politicians are actually beneficiaries of the system of corruption that is being embedded and continued in this country. So we have to be looking forward. We must ensure that we do not support the diversionary tactics by the state, and that we continue fighting. And so currently I am against SHIF. I believe what we need are reforms in NHIF. We have people who are suffering right now. They cannot afford treatment, they cannot get dialysis, all because SHIF is not favoring the treatment of the common person. Yet they are being lied to that your contribution is being lowered. But in the end, the services they are being given is not in the promotion of universal health care. I'm also against the Adani and Ketrako, Adani takeover of JKIA, everything that is being propagated by Adani in Kenya. I do not believe that what is being continued is what we call PPP, public-private partnership. What is going on is actually state capture that is being made to look nice to us, and we cannot allow that. I am against how this government is running this country, and I believe that this government should resign in its entirety. But then, even if this government resigns, I believe that the people of Kenya are likely to make the same mistakes. And so I am asking on all Kenyans who are educated, all young people, all Gen Zs, let us continue with vigorous civic education of our parents, our local people, so that we can enlighten them to focus away from the diversionary tactics of the state, enlighten them on their rights, on the constitution, and let Kenyans know that they deserve better. I am telling Kenyans, you deserve better than what this government is offering. You deserve better than what actually the alternatives to this government are also offering, because what they are offering is just alternative leadership, but not alternative policies, not alternative ideals. And so I believe that we need a Kenyan movement that will come together and deliver Kenya a movement that is not on any side, not on the side of Ruto, not on the side of UDA, not on the side of ODM, but a people's movement that will acknowledge that they have a right to a better government, they have a right to a better healthcare, a right to a better education system. We have seen how the education system is being messed up. I believe that we should revert from CBC back to the 844 system and change the system, or rather the method of teaching, and not the system of education. I believe that we have a lot to change. I also believe that we should not let our government continue to try to amend this constitution in a manner that is not constitutional. We have seen that they want to continue to extend the term limits for the president, MCAs. We cannot allow that. That one is not possible, and that one is against the principles of democracy and the principles of this constitution, and we are not going to allow that. We actually should make sure that we lower the number of years in which an elected leader serves, so that we can promote their accountability, because the shorter the time an elected leader has in government, then the more accountability that they are going to give to the people. And as we move forward, I believe that constitutional amendment is an idea we need to look forward to. I believe that the system of government and constitution that we have now gives a lot of power to the politicians. And the purpose of every constitution is to limit the powers of the state against the people. And so we need to limit more the powers of the state, so that we could not have a situation like we have now, where the state is taking over the economy, is propagating unconstitutionalism, illegalities, without being able to stop it. So we also need to support our judiciary. The judiciary is the only arm of the government that we have now. And I believe that let us not let the government cheat us or lie to us. They have been promoting young activists who look like they are the freedom fighters. And then at the end of the day, they are all supposed to keep diverting us from the actual problem in this country, which is corruption and bad leadership. Let us focus, let us look at the country beyond, and let the Kenyans of goodwill and Kenyans who believe in a better country don't stop believing. Don't let politicians make you stop believing. I believe we can make a better country, and have offered myself as a young leader and servant of the people to fight for the people and be part of the next leadership. A leadership that is not going to look at the next election, but at the next generation and its fate. The mountain region is at a time where, just like the Gen Zs, we can say that we are leaderless, because the deputy president, much as he's the most senior person in government, he still hasn't managed to give the region a proper political direction. However, I know that many people are still behind him, which is a nice thing. But the people of the mountain must now think, where did we go wrong? And I have seen that today being President Uhuru's birthday, a lot of people have apologized to him. He's still the kingpin of this region, and he's still the de facto leader of the mountain. And I believe it is time that leaders from across the political divide can come together, have a consultation with President Uhuru, and think of how we are going to salvage the political future of the mountain. Because the future that we are looking at is where in 2027, the 42 against 1 may be repeated. And that is because the people of the mountain are not united. What we must ensure, because we have a generation of Gen Zs and young people who do not believe in the ethnic politics, we must now stop uniting the mountain as a political ethnic region, but as a people of shared problems, shared economic problems, shared economic desires, and shared social beliefs. If we promote the unity of the mountain in that manner, then we are going to see the young people believe in it. And we have a mountain that you can see the young people are coming out. They are starting to believe in their culture, to believe in the fact that they need a better economy. And I believe that the future of the mountain is actually bright. But we must also ensure that even as we unite, because I believe that the deputy president, if he survives the impeachment or he doesn't, he should now make sure he goes and looks for President Uhuru Kenyatta, look for other leaders, because we understand that the deputy president really sidelined leaders. For those of us who are in Azimio, he was always dismissing us as leaders who are not worthy. He needs to now apologize to everyone. We need to look for all leaders in the mountain from across the political divide. Come together and decide, where do we want to go as a mountain? And also we must think, do we want to continue being a region that is in opposition? Do we want to be comfortable as members of the opposition? No, the mountain has never gone that direction. We must first, before we can go to 2027, we must make sure that we get our rightful share of development from President Ruto's government. And President Ruto will only listen to us if he sees that the mountain is united. And right now we have seen clear plans to divide the mountain into Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya West. That one cannot be allowed. We must come together as Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya West, Mount Kenya South, the whole of the Kikuyu people. We must come together and realize that we are not just an ethnic community. We are a people with a shared economic region that deserves economic prosperity, economic development. And then once we are united by development, we can never be divided by anything. And at the same time, we need to consult President Uhuru. He really tried to unite us, but politicians decided that they were not going to listen to him because they were looking at power. And that shows if the mountain is going to unite in pursuit of power, that unity will never be achieved. If the mountain is going to be united around or behind a certain leader, that will never be achieved. And I believe as we move forward, we must also remember that we cannot live in isolation. We must speak about the unity of Kenya, even as we speak the unity of the mountain. We have seen the Kamba community has shown its willingness to join us in Gema as Gikuyu, Embu, Meru, and Akamba. We must welcome them and ensure that we form a large, mountain alliance where we don't look at ourselves as just a tribe. Because if we continue looking at ourselves as a tribe, then we are going to look that we want to sideline other tribes. And we are in a modern Kenya where, segregating ourselves is not going to work. And it's only going to, to isolate us and disadvantage us. And so I believe that, the Rigathi Gachagua still has an influence in this region. And it should look for President Uhuru Kenyatta, leaders from across the political divide, even those who do not agree with him. Let us come together and think of the future of the region, especially in terms of development and economic development. Because if we can have a government that slows down the coffee, tea, and all the economic tools that empower the people of the mountain, if they can be crippled, then the mountain is going to be defeated. And that happened during the Moi regime. If we do not come together and fight against that, then the future of the mountain will be at a bad position. So I believe that it is time we come together and let the elected leaders not see themselves as the only leaders who can take this mountain forward. Let us also think about the unelected leaders, like ourselves and others who have an influence. We can come together and think about the future of the region. And I believe that is something that can be done if we can believe in love and not look at each other with hatred, with jealousy, and look at ourselves as brothers and sisters who should fight for the future of our children and for the future generations, who should not by any means be born to a region that is isolated by the other regions of this country.
Tutaenda hii safari pamoja na Ngai amurathime na mwike wega. Vijana power! Vijana power!